Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to another sewing vlog. In my last sewing vlog, I was talking about the fact that I'm probably not going to be doing really much sewing this week, but I have the harebrained idea that I ought to start on the teens dress that I wanted to make. I want to make this green dress here, except probably not in green. I think it's really cute. And so that is what I'm going to make. I'm hoping that it's going to be a pretty quick and easy project. You never know with Butterick patterns, I feel like. I'm going to start it today and we're going to see how quickly I can get it done. And I don't know why I'm doing this instead of the yellow skirt that I was talking about all last week, but this is what I've suddenly decided I want to make. So as I have mentioned in past vlogs, I'm having extreme CADD right now. My brain is literally just going everywhere because I have no real deadlines for anything. And I mean, none of us do, I guess. But in general, I find that I do work better on a deadline. So that's why my brain is kind of going haywire and wanting to work on all of the projects at once. The other part of this is that with the Colonial Festival having changed, like I mentioned last time, and also the weekend that we're supposed to be spending in Port Townsend still kind of up in the air because of COVID. I just don't know that I want to invest any time right now on a big project like that. So I really want to do some small things that I can knock out, just especially because Elsa's taken me so long. Normally during this sort of like time period that I've been working on Elsa, I would do like 3 or 4 decently sized projects all in the lead up to costume college. And costume college, you know, would have been coming up very, very soon, and I'm just kind of missing that. And like, I look at my Facebook memories and see all of my last minute panic sewing that I honestly kind of enjoy because it gives me a lot of motivation and it gives me a lot of energy to sew. And right now it's just like I'm sewing because I don't have anything else to do. So anyway, that is why I've decided to go with this Butterick pattern. I'm hoping that it'll be fun. I think it's going to be cute. I've seen a couple people who have made this and it turned out really cute. So I'm going to start cutting this out and see what sort of alterations I have to make and figure out what I'm going to make it out of. It's going to be a stash project, so I don't yet know which part of my stash I'm using, but I'm sure there's something that I can use in here. I just have to figure it out. Pattern for the teens dress and I realized some things about it. For one, it has an insanely huge shoulder. So what I've done here is I've cut in quite a bit, 1.25 inches in fact, and I also have realized that the ease on this pattern is kind of stupid. There's literally 7.5 inches of ease in the bust, and there's 3 inches in the waist, and there's a little in the hips, but not enough for hips to actually fit in this. There's only, I think, a 9.5 inch difference between waist and hips for this pattern, and my waist to hip difference is more than 9.5 inches. So I'm gonna have to play with that. Also, this is incredibly short-waisted, or at least it appears to be from the pattern. Literally, I'm going to be adding for my mock-up 1 inch for the shoulder, so that it's like to the arm's eye basically, and then 3.5 inches under the bust. The other thing that I noticed that is going to make this not a super quick and easy project, because that's my life, is I did kind of know that this pattern called for a side invisible zipper, which is obviously not something that I want to be doing. So I am going to rework how this closes to make it a little bit more historically accurate. It's a wrap dress, so I want it to wrap closed like it should. I came across this gorgeous dress on Pinterest, and I think I'm going to model mine a little bit more after that one as opposed to doing this exact dress. One of the things that that means is that I think I'm going to forego the whole overskirt thing going on with this pattern and make it just a round skirt that still has a wrap look. I don't know that I'm gonna go with the 500 buttons that close up that one that I found on Augusta Auctions, but it is a really cute look. Now, I did also decide on the fabric for this. I believe it's a cotton, but it may actually be a cotton linen blend. It's this wrinkled mess that's been on my floor now, but it's a gorgeous kind of like a turquoisey, but it's actually turquoise in one direction and kind of a white, almost silver in the other direction. So it's not something that I think is necessarily historically accurate, but I really like the drape of it. It's got a lovely drape, and I've also got copious yardage of this, and it's been sitting in my stash for ages and ages since I picked it up, I believe, in the bargain basement at Costume College years and years and years ago. So it's really just been taking up room, and therefore I think I might even do my mock-up with this fabric because I have so much of it. So that is my plan as of now. I've probably got to do maybe a little bit more digging, maybe a little bit more tweaking with the pattern too. I want to study what the back of the dress looks like on that Augusta auction, because this one is gathered into the waist at the back, and I'm not sure I love that look. I feel like it's just kind of the sloppy look. So I'm gonna roll around the internet a little bit more and see what I can find. I also did find this gorgeous dress with help from some friends in Patterns of Fashion, which kind of has a similar look to it with that cross front, though again this one has a skirt that is all solid, not a sort of faux double layer skirt. So that's why I'm not really seeing a lot of those faux double layer skirts out there, honestly. So that's why I'm thinking I'm gonna do this as a single layer as opposed to a faux double layer. And between the Augusta Auctions picture and the book, the Patterns of Fashion one, I think I can cobble together something that's a little bit more appropriate. I'm also intending to put what this calls for a dicky as part of it, and I'm intending to put that as actually part of the dress. So anyway, I've got a lot of tweaks ahead of me because I can't just do anything simply. So hey, I guess there will be sewing in this week's vlog, and I'm excited for this project, and I want it to go kind of quickly, so we'll see how fast this goes together, who knows. I decided to play around a little bit with the fit of how the paper pattern looks on me, just to give me a sort of a little bit better of an idea before cutting out the muslin. And actually, I think there may be less changes than I thought I had to make. So I don't think I have to take up the shoulder an entire inch on both sides, because the reason that I did this is because the back was actually looking almost large, so I wanted to put them together and see if the back compensated for the front, and honestly I think it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add probably about 3/8 of an inch to the shoulder, to the length of the shoulder, and I took in the side seam a little bit down here. I think I took it in an extra 3/8 of an inch or so. I haven't measured it yet. And then the arm's eye, I realized that I think, and it's hard to tell on paper, but I think that what I'm actually liking right now is where this is hitting as a seam, which means I need to add in my 1/2 inch seam allowance. It might be more like a 3/8 inch because I think I'm over my seam just a little bit. So I think I'm going to add about a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and that actually includes the fact that I'm going to raise the arm's eye, because the arm's eye right now is really low, and I didn't take anything out of the arm's eye down here. It's just really low. So I'm going to raise that a full 1/2 an inch, maybe even more, maybe even 5/8 of an inch, just because it seems so low in the arm's eye, and that's going to really inhibit my range of motion. You need to have the arm's eye pretty close up to your underarm to get more range of motion, and modern clothes don't tend to realize that somehow. So anyway, I'm liking what's going on here. Again, that's going to be basically putting this about 3/8 of an inch back out, putting this 3/8 of an inch up, taking this seam where I currently have it pinned, and then, oh, and I am still going to add width to the bottom, or length rather to the bottom, but it's not going to be quite as much. Before I had measured it as 3 fingers worth of length, and it's actually, I'm just going to do 2 fingers plus seam allowance of length. And I think potentially just to the front and not to the back. I do find typically that I will need to add length to the front of a bodice, but not to the back. I'm pretty happy with where this stands, and I think I'm going to cut out my lining layer and just use that as my muslin and see if that works. So that will be the next step. So for some reason I decided after dinner to go ahead and switch to the skirt panels instead of the bodice. But I mean, I've basically patterned out the bodice. I am going to be doing an under bodice out of the lining, so it's not actually going to be flat lined fully together. I'm going to have the under bodice that will close in the center front with hooks and eyes, and then the over bodice will wrap over the front. I mean, they're not separate pieces. They're going to be affixed like to here, and then they're going to be separate right here. So it's just going to be the wrap front in there. It's very much like in the one in Patterns of Fashion. But I decided to switch to the skirt. So what I've done here, because reinventing the wheel, you know, it's what I do, I have decided to draw in a whole bunch of new pattern lines on my pattern pieces, beyond the fact that I have to increase this length by approximately 6.5 inches, I think. Part of that is because I do want a deep hem. I want about a 3.5 inch hem. This calls for like a 1.5 inch hem. So that's part of it. The other part's that I'm 5'10" and this pattern is too short. What I have done here is this is the front of the skirt, and I have drawn in, I don't know how well you'll be able to see these lines, but I've drawn in a whole bunch of lines here. So the front of the skirt is going to wrap over, and it's going to be on the left side that it wraps over the front. The left side of the skirt is cut shorter because it's not going to wrap all the way to the hip. It's going to wrap to like the kind of the side hip. So the left front goes to here. This is the center front right here, and the left front goes to here, and then we'll come down here. I will do a facing on part of it, probably about this much, and that will close with either buttons or hooks and eyes, or hooks, eyes, and fake buttons, one of those. And then the right side will go all the way out to here. However, the hips were too small for me, so I'm like literally smaller than my hip measurement, not to mention, you know, ease and movement, and it's a skirt and all that sort of thing. So I have increased the width. Also, I think the hip spring just on its own just wasn't enough curve. So basically I've kept the waist the same, and I've added 1.5 inches to the hips at the hip line, and I've really copied that 1.5 inches add to everywhere on the hips, even the curve here of the side front-ish where it wraps over, even that is going to be basically following the 1.5 inch. Now on the left side also, there is a left side front now that's going to happen, and that is going to go from the side over here to this green line here, and I think I'm just going to do a straight line. I might change my mind depending on how it hangs, because this might just wind up being extra bulk in kind of the side front of the skirt that I don't want. And if that's the case, then I will probably cut it like the line of the side front so that it will just overlap by about 1 inch or so, if that, and it will be more like a seam with just a sort of slightly overlapped closure at the front. And then on the back, I've also changed the back because, again, I wanted more hip flare, and I felt like I wasn't going to get there with just having basically 2 pattern pieces. This also called for a center back seam with really not much curve to the center back seam. So I decided that I would actually make this a, I guess, 4-piece skirt, and I would do side backs with a smaller center back. So the green line here, I started with where the dart was on the back piece, and I've started right there, and then the green line is now how the center back is going to go, and then the side back is going to be this orange line which goes out here, which means that when I get to the hips I'm going to get a lot of extra in there. So I think that's going to be really helpful. I don't think it'll be too much extra. It'll just be a little bit. And then I'm also cutting the skirt side back now on the fold. So I don't think you can see it, but there's a pale pink line here, and that's just going to be the fold. All of these lines I'll have to continue off the pattern pieces once I get this on the fabric. So that will be the next step. But I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. I think this is going to fit well, and I don't mock up my skirts, so I'm just gonna go for it. At this point, I am planning to do this skirt unlined with just like a facing for the closure. Hopefully I won't regret that decision, but once I cut out the skirt pieces, I will take a bit of a look at it and see if that's gonna work, or maybe if that's not going to work. So that is my next step. I'm excited to start really with all of that. One other thing that I decided at one point was Noelle, or Costuming Drama, with all of her whiteboardness, influenced me to get a whiteboard to try to keep track of everything that I'm working on. And it goes behind my door, so I forget to actually change things around on it. For example, most of these to be edited that I have over here, I've actually done already. So let's just erase some of that. And yeah, I already filmed both of those. The next video that I will be filming will be how I made my Governor Ratcliffe outfit. So let's write that on there. That video will be coming out in kind of mid-August-ish. And now I have had this dress on my future projects list, but I can move this over to current project and Elsa can share. So right now I don't actually need to draw out the rhinestone pattern on my Elsa skirt because I will be rhinestoning for quite some time before I get to any other drawing phase. So I'm going to erase that. I'm going to erase Elsa from the title of that. So now this part goes with Elsa, and it's pretty obvious because it says Heat Fix Rhinestones and Cape. And the other current project that I can add to that is the Butterick Teens dress. And I have not done anything of my UFO section, which is here. So, oh, and I guess I can cross that off the future list. I don't even think, I have Victorian apron on my future projects list twice. Apparently I really want that. There we go. So my future projects are the 18th century, I realized it's the Caraco, not Pierrot. So 18th century Caraco and petticoat. The truly Victorian tea gown, except doing it 1890s. Felicity Christmas dress, but that's a long ways down the line. I just want to make that for Christmas. Victorian apron, a 1950s dress, which is really just up in the air, but it's something that I want to have prepared for when maybe gigs will start back up. I think I've mentioned it before on this channel, but I do sing at assisted living and other retirement type homes. And to do that, I dress in all vintage and sing all vintage songs. So I just want to have more options for that wardrobe. And then I want to make a crinolette so that I can stop using my Franken crinolette. And I keep procrastinating on that. I want to do the yellow circle skirt that I mentioned and the white cotton summer bustle that I mentioned. And the unfinished projects are my Daniel Deronda riding habit. That one I just started the bodice mock-up for. I haven't tried it on yet, I don't think. The velvet evening bodice, I finished the bodice mock-up, but again, I have not cut that out. And then I have to increase the shoulder width of my 1870s chemise set, which honestly should be a super quick project, but I don't feel like I'm going to be wearing that dress anytime soon because it's very much a winter dress and we are very much in summer. And then I started a vintage style Dobby stripe blouse for, I think, right before I went to Disneyland in November 2018 that I never came back to. So I do want to finish that. And then the other thing on here is that my to be edited section is currently just my brooch board. So I think I showed you the brooch board in my last vlog, but I will have a video coming out on how to make that, and that will be the beginning of August, the first Friday of August. So that's my whiteboard. I'm going to try to keep up with it, and maybe I'll show you some crossing off and adding to, hopefully not adding to. And I know that I need to be more specific with the teens dress, and I will get more specific with it, but right now, since I need to do everything for it, I figure generality is just fine. Speaking of which, I should probably go back to sewing. It is Thursday night. It is already somehow 10:40 p.m. I haven't done too much yet today. I have cut out 2 of the pieces of the skirt part of the dress, the 1910's dress. I cut out the side back and the center back pieces. So I guess technically that is 3 pieces of a total of 5 pieces, I think, is how I'm doing this. So I'm planning on cutting out the front pieces. I might just sew them together and then see if that is good, or if I need to unsew them and cut out a lining layer for them, depending on how well it drapes. I tried to do an additional burn test on my fabric, and I'm still coming up a bit of a question mark. It's definitely cotton and or a cotton linen blend. The way that it acts when I put it on my table, being all like squidgy, makes me think linen blend, but according to the burn test charts that I've looked at, it does seem to be more of a cotton reaction. So I'm not super great at burn testing, but it is flaring up very fast and having like a white gray smoke, smelling, I forget what I think it smelled sweet, and I was able to blow it out, but it still like caught fire pretty fast and it turned into ash. So I'm really not sure what it's made of, but it's got a lovely drape and it's just kind of a nice fabric. Now, one problem did arise where I wrote on my patterns all those markings yesterday with Sharpie. And somehow, I think probably from when I was ironing the pattern flat, I ironed it on top of my fabric, and I wound up with, I don't know if you can see that, but there are some lime green markings on my fabric. So luckily it does not seem to be going through to the other side, so I'm just going to have to be careful to remember that which side is the outside and which side is the inside. But this is also the center back piece, so it should, at least it's a little bit unobtrusive, of course it'd be right on my rear end. I hope that this is shaped right. That's why I think I'm going to put things together before even serging them, and just knowing that I will be ripping them apart and serging them, if not lining and serging them. I don't know, maybe I can't put them on my dress form. Stupid Elsa's still on my dress form. That's why I want to finish Elsa. I probably should have done that before jumping into this project because I don't have a dress form to put it on. So in other news, I went to Joann's today, and I think I mentioned, talking about my whiteboard yesterday, that I want to make a 1950s dress. Now, I had planned to make a little bit more of a historically accurate 1950s dress, but I found this fabric today and I couldn't resist it. Look how cute it is. Oh my gosh. It's Thumper and Bambi and Miss Bunny and Flower. It's so cute. And from a distance, I feel like this looks kind of like just a 1950s like polka dotty retro-y pattern. See, right? From a distance, maybe, hopefully. And so I am going to make this dress, the short-sleeved version, out of this fabric, or at least that's my plan. Obviously that's not happening yet because I am stacking up my projects way too much. Whoops. So I don't know if this will happen before or after the yellow skirt. I'm kind of excited about it right now, but we'll see once I work on this what I decide. Also, this is like the exact same color. Look at that, that's funny. So yeah, I seem to have a problem where I didn't go to Joann's for so long that now when I go to Joann's, I walk out with a new project. Yeah. So I should probably not go to Joann's again anytime soon, I guess. But I'm excited about all of these, and the only thing is that I really need to finish Elsa before I can get too excited about any of them. Oh well. I'm gonna keep working and stop blabbering, and I will check it back in with you later. So somehow it is now 1 in the morning, but I have completed the cutting out of all of the skirt pieces as well as the bodice pieces. I went ahead and just cut them out in the fabric, like the fashion fabric, because I have so much of it. So if I do need to make this a mock-up, I literally have this much left. So I have like almost an entire other dress length, maybe an entire other dress length left, and all I have to cut out of it at this point, if this all works, are the sleeves. I think I'm gonna line the skirt, but before I make a decision on that, I'm gonna pour over Costume in Detail and Patterns of Fashion a bit more and just see if it should be flatlined or not. More tomorrow. All of a sudden I just got hit with a wave of tired, which I guess makes sense because it is 1:49 a.m. But I got started sewing today really late. Like earlier today I cut out the lining portions of the bodice of the teens dress, and then I didn't get back to sewing until about 11 p.m. tonight, so I've only really not been working for that long. But I've gotten a fair amount done. So the bodice is fully assembled. I mean, like the base of the bodice. So the lining is in. It's not actually attached in this section here, so that this can be the closure of the fitted lining, and then this can wrap over the top. I have gathering stitches done, but I haven't pulled up the gathers because I remembered after I put the stitches in that my inspiration actually appears to have pleats instead of gathers, so I just wanted to kind of put those there. But I have this where I can now try this on tomorrow, and I got hit by the wave of tired while I was sewing the last two seams on the skirt portion. So the skirt is also fully assembled, as in the pieces are attached to each other. I did not attach the overlap, so where the front overlaps with like the side front. I have not done that piece yet, just because I have to figure out how that exactly wants to lay, and I kind of wanted to make sure that this is even remotely fitting first. So my plan for tomorrow is to try both of these on, put on my corset and my princess slip and everything, and try them on, see how they're working. I'm walking on the wild edge this time because since I have so much of the fabric, I honestly just decided to go for it, not making a mock-up or anything, which is, you know, dangerous because this is a pattern that I've practically redrafted from the Butterick pattern at this point, so anything could happen. But fingers crossed that it works out okay. I am kind of excited for not doing a mock-up. It might totally bite me in the butt, but if it works, then that's like a whole lot of time that's just saved right there. So I did actually go ahead and I serged everything before I assembled it, and I also decided not to do the lining for the skirt because I really couldn't find evidence of linings in skirts of this era unless they were silk. So silk dresses had linings, not silk did not. And since this is a cotton and or cotton linen blend, I decided not to line it. The bodice is lined with cotton sateen. So the back is just flat lined, and then the front again has that other weird closure. So it's like flat lined in the arms and the shoulders and the sides. And then it is, right now it's basted in the front, both fronts, up to a certain point, and then the rest can be done for that closure. So anyway, tomorrow I get to try everything on, and see how it goes. And then I'm probably, honestly, other than doing the tweaks on this, I think I might spend the rest of tomorrow rhinestoning. So we'll see how much gets done. But I'm just excited to give you a little sewing content in this vlog. In other news, the Bustle Era picnic that I was supposed to have on this Sunday has been canceled, which is very sad. Not due to COVID at all. It's actually just because it's going to be like 86 or 88 degrees or something like that on Sunday. And I am a weak Washingtonian now, as are all of my friends. None of us want to be outside in any of that. So we're postponing it for the following weekend. So that will hopefully come in some vlogs later. So yeah. Alright, so I'm trying on the mock-up. There are a lot of changes that need to be made, but luckily I think this is too large in most ways, as opposed to being too small. So the changes should all be pretty simple. The first thing that I noticed is that it is way too large under the arms. So I'm taking out probably 1.5 inches down each side seam because they're huge. Once I do that, then I'm going to really look at more of the rest of it, but it feels like it's a little long in the back, or a lot of long in the back. I feel like I want the back to be about here. So I think it's about 1 inch long in the back right now. This is going to hook an eye down the center, which I think is a decent fit in the bust other than under the arms. So that's great. This will be pleated or gathered, so we'll have to wait and see on that. The main thing now is really that I need to do these side seams and see how that changes the fit of everything basically, and then I can start to either pull up gathering stitches or to pleat this. Again, I haven't quite decided. The inspiration dress, as opposed to having darts, it literally looks like it has pleats. So it's weird, and I haven't seen that before, and I don't know if I'm going to do that or if I'm going to do gathers. I am a little bit worried that this is like a lot of excess, so I might have to do some more tweaking there. I'm not really sure, but again, I'm going to start with the side seams and see what that helps, if anything. Alright, so I took in my side seams. I actually wound up taking each side seam in 2 inches, but I think that solved really most of my problems. The front is definitely too long as well. I don't know if you can even, yeah, you can totally see it here, but somehow when I drafted this out, my front wound up like a full inch longer than my back at the sides, and I really don't know how that happened, but that's what it is. The front is about like 1 inch long, maybe even more. I feel like for this era, and I'm looking at my display here as a mirror, but I feel like I want this to hit about here. So there's a lot of excess here. Taking off some of the length is going to remove the areas where it is the most gappy. So I think that that will solve a lot. Oh, I came unpinned. So this is what this wrap style, I just have this pinned right now. So it's going to be edge to edge closure with hooks and eyes. And then this will wrap over like that, and this will wrap over like that. And then the skirt will open here. So now it's a matter of getting off this excess length here. I think my arm size are pretty good. I might have studied a little bit more in the mirror. And again, my center back is too long, but my sides feel just right. So I'm just gonna have to go around and kind of even this out and get rid of probably about 1 inch in the center back. And I think that should solve all of the fit issues with that. I will try the skirt on with the bodice and just see how it lines up, because that might also help to give me a good idea of where the waist line needs to hit. So the skirt is really close. I'm actually super excited about it. One of the weird things is that the pattern calls for darts in the center front, which I don't actually think that I need. I have this lapped over right now, and it's basically the exact same lap over as the bodice. So that is brilliant, because I'll just, you know, bind both of them or whatever, and they'll be the same with their facing or binding or whatever I choose to do. They'll be really in the same place once I, you know, gather all this up. The one thing that I'm finding is that it's a little bit gappy like right around the top here in the back. So I think all I need to do, since I added those extra seams in, I think all I need to do is just take in the seams just a little bit, probably the side back seams is my guess. But otherwise it's really pretty excellent. The hem I think is going to be pretty much the 3.5-inch hem that I was going for, so that's great also. So I just need to figure out where the front laps over the side and then sew that seam. And that'll be a matter of more looking at my pattern shapes than anything else. But yeah, it's like hitting me in the right place, because this is really where I want the waistband, or waistline to be. It's that kind of raised teens waistline. So I think it's just about right. Again, it's just a little bit large here, so it's falling down a little, but it's just about right where I wanted it. So now I just have to figure out what's going on here and with the length, and chop off enough of the bodice that it hits the skirt ready for seaming in the right place. So feeling pretty good about this. Obviously I don't have sleeves or anything yet, but again, I think my arm size are pretty close. They might be a little bit far off my shoulder. So once I do the rest of the fitting on the bodice, I might take this up just a little bit, because I feel like right now my seam probably needs to be about a 1/2 inch up from where this would make it. Like it should be 1 inch in from the edge right here. But otherwise it's feeling pretty great. So yeah, I'm gonna do some more tweaking. Oh, I guess the one other thing with the skirt is that I have too much of a flare going on, I think mostly just in the hip seams. So I need to curve this out a little. I don't know if you can see this on the video, but it's very curvy, too curvy, and it's standing out weirdly. So I need to do some tweaking there. But otherwise I'm really liking what it's doing. And actually that may be because it's not pulling forward where it needs to be, because that seam's not attached. So I might attach the seam first and then figure out the wonkiness in the hips. But yeah, it's really close. So I mean, for not having done a mock-up, like I'm not needing to change stuff really. So that is excellent, and hopefully those aren't famous last words. I'm really excited about where this is going. I might even go ahead and put my facings on the inside part and put on some hooks and eyes so that I don't have to pin myself in every time. That might help. Anyway, it's exciting. I'm really happy with this so far. So yay for easy projects. So after much finagling with the fit, I have finally gotten the fit of the bodice right. I actually wound up taking a whole lot out of the length. I felt like the cotton linen, whatever this outer fabric is, just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And I suppose because it's cotton on the bias, that is what it kind of is prone to do. So I wound up taking a significant portion out of the center front length as well, and even took a tiny bit out of the sides, though not very much. The one thing that I still do need to fix is that, again, the linen is creeping. So to prevent wrinkling from happening down at the darts, I need to actually take out the serging and pull up the armscye a little bit. Or I might cheat and just do that when I set the sleeves. We'll see. But I have it pinned into place right now where I just need to like have it a little higher so that it prevents that downward creep. So that is something that I'm going to do later, but I'm really happy with this right now. I did also take in the skirt waist. So the next thing really that I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the skirt to the bodice and make sure that that doesn't ruin everything. Let's see. Something like that, minus, you know, looking in a mirror. Ta-da. So yeah, that'll be the next bit. I still didn't figure out the skirt overlap. I really haven't been paying attention to the skirt other than taking in that little bit at the waist. I've really just been working on the bodice for the last few hours, and I am happy now with how the bodice is fitting. So, and I've got to trim off a little bit of my lining here at the top because, again, the creep is just pulling things weird places. The other thing that I did is that on the under flap, I decided that it really didn't need to go past center, because having it go past center was causing a whole lot of other issues for me, like how am I going to attach the skirt? How am I going to even finish the bottom, etc. So I wound up just turning this in and flipping it under, pressing it under. I have yet to stitch it down, but I'm just going to stitch it down probably by hand since I've already done the hooks and eyes, just right on top of the edge where the hooks and eyes are, and that'll be completely covered by the flap, so it won't matter that there's visual stitching or anything like that. But yeah, I'm liking how this looks. I did opt to do 2 darts on either side of the bust, plus 1 dart in the back on each side to make it fit, and it's fitting quite nicely, and I think it's hitting the high waist where I want it to. I went ahead and attached the skirt part to the bodice part of the dress. What I have done here is I have pinned it into place. First I drew a line where I thought I was going to hit, which was wrong. So then I've pinned it into place. It's going to hit 3/4 of an inch away from that line once I take out the 1/2 inch for seam allowance slash facing slash binding. I'm still not sure if I'm going to face the upper section or bind it, but I'm thinking I should probably face it just because, I don't know, that might be a little bit smarter. We'll see. And then I also wound up having to not take in, but change the angle of this a little bit so that it would hit right at the corner at the waist. So that's really all I have done. Oh, I did also pin out where I think I want to slim these hips, because as you can see, they're flaring weirdly. So I've pinned kind of the top and the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and just like smooth those curves out a little. So yeah, this is everything so far, and I will show you more in my next video. That said, my next video for a vlog is probably not going to be next week. I feel like there's so much stuff going on for CocoVid this coming weekend, which, by the way, I will link the program and all of the information down below in the description. But I feel like there's so much going on for CocoVid this coming weekend that I don't feel like anyone's going to need to watch additional content on Tuesday of next week, because everyone's still going to be catching up on the 146 videos for CocoVid. So if you haven't seen it already, the program book went live as I'm recording this. It was last night, and that has the schedule with all of the videos in it, also specifically when lives and premieres are going to be, if you want to watch those as they're happening. My 3 videos, by the way, are all premieres, and since I don't remember the times off the top of my head, I will specifically put those in the description below. It also, in the program book, discusses how you do the badge collection game. It, I believe, has a link to the Discord server, which, oh my gosh, when I signed into Discord this morning, there were already like 300 people that had joined the CocoVid Discord server, so it's really exciting. And if you are one of them, hi! I put a little introduction in there, but I haven't really had a chance to explore more yet, just because it's a little bit overwhelming with how fast it's moving. But anyway, going back to what I was saying before, I don't think I'm going to have a video coming out next week because, for a vlog, I should say, because of all of the CocoVid content. So I'm sure that I'm still going to be watching videos on Tuesday, and especially on Monday, and Monday is normally when I would edit this video or this vlog. So I think I'm going to be watching YouTube videos instead, probably just like all of you. So the next time that you're going to see this dress in a vlog is going to be 2 weeks from now. That said, if you do want to see in progress, I will post progress pictures over to my Instagram, of course. I do post on Instagram every day. That's at Lady Rebecca Fashion, so make sure that you go follow me over there if you haven't done that already. Also, I think it'll be a good time for me to get caught up a little bit more on Elsa rhinestones, because I want to give you sewing vlog content, and when I'm just rhinestoning and not recording it for anything other than my Elsa vlogs, then you have no sewing vlogs. So anyway, I'm going to try to work on that a bit, and I'll probably work a little bit more on this as well. This is coming along swimmingly. I think this is pretty good for what, like 2 days work, so I'm happy there. But anyway, I do hope you liked this vlog. I'm closing out the vlog here because it is Saturday night. And if you liked this vlog, please go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. And if you would like to see more videos like this, please go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a video. I post videos here normally twice a week, but again, I will have 3 extra videos coming out for COVID, so please do make sure that you check those videos out. If you are subscribed to me, you'll have a little notification from all of those videos. So make sure you click the little bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. Anyway, I will see you all in my next video. Happy sewing!